Hello, I'm Marina Kim and you're watching the final news bulletin for the week. These are the top stories. Public activists are perplexed. Kazakhstan has convicted terrorists, although no terrorist acts were ever reported. Employees of Deo Avtobaza picket the district administration demanding to pay them salary debts. Bernd Stork, the head coach of the Kazakh national football team, is fired from his position. Emergency in western Kazakhstan. The Uralsk office of the Kazakh Communist Party has practically burned down. Party members believe this was arson with a political motive. Firefighters are still investigating the incident and are not rushing with the conclusion.
Members of the Communist Party in western Kazakhstan call a fire in their Uralsk office a terrorism act. The fire started on Thursday evening at the ground floor of an apartment building that houses the party office. The apartment badly burned before the firefighters were able to localize the fire. More importantly, they prevented the explosion, as it appears the gas stove was turned on. These people have nothing sacred. They didn't even think about the people who live here. It looks horrible. Everything is scorched. Vasily Shamin, a party functionary from Uralsk, personally furnished the office. At the time of the fire, the communist was on a business trip in Almaty. After looking at the saved photos of the office, he noted that the fire has a political aura around it. Apparently, harassment began immediately after the Congress for the referendum on the resignation of the president. Currently, an active work is underway to let the Congress participants know that their wrong conduct will lead to consequences like these. The worst part is that all of this is becoming systematic. The Congress was held on September 25th, although the quorum was not secured. Representatives of the political bloc Narodovlastia said that it was the authorities who prevented to gather all delegates from the regions, party members who taken off trains, blackmailed and intimidated. We witnessed a spike of planned activity against delegates from two specific regions. This could be explained by each regional administration working in its own way with local population. The idea of a referendum was postponed until spring, although oppositionists guess the authorities do not know about it and therefore act decisively.
Policies of preventing terrorism and religious extremism were discussed at the special conference in Astana on Friday. Understandably, experts focused their attention on the statement of the national security head Nurtai Abukayev, who shared recently that although Kazakhstan has no direct preconditions for the emergence of terrorist groups, the threat is still high due to the country's geographical location.
The public is concerned about the recent statement of the head of the National Security Committee. According to Nurtai Abukayev, Kazakhstan is under threat of terrorist attacks, but at the same time, no direct preconditions for such threats exist. In response, experts called an emergency roundtable, saying that since there is a threat, something should be done about it. In any case, it is impossible to overcome terrorism exclusively through information methods and ideological work. Some force is needed here, but it is important to clearly define the scale and the direction of its use. Public activists believe that close proximity to unstable states can be considered a major terrorism threat in itself. Otherwise, the actions of Kazakh law enforcement and their counteraction of the so-called terrorists often go beyond any logical boundaries. According to the information of the human rights defender Ninel Fokina, more than 1,000 Kazakh citizens were jailed over terrorism charges within the last 7 years alone. It is rather a reflection of the usual practices and tactics of any special forces around the world to keep people and the government in fear of terrorism for the sole purpose of gaining more privileges. In the meantime, the chairman of the National Security Committee, Nurtai Abukayev, keeps firm position that the terrorism threat is out there and Kazakhstan needs to react now. Terrorism in all of its forms is a serious threat to international security. Terrorism goes beyond national boundaries and it has become a scaled global threat. A number of problems linked to terrorism is growing, including social conflicts, inter-ethnic clashes, drug trafficking, organized crime, money laundering and others.
Human rights activists and international experts expressed their concern with the violation of human rights in Kazakhstan. A meeting discussing the issue was held in the Foreign Affairs Ministry on Friday. Defender Vadim Kuramshin, who was also present at the event, further fueled the discussion by revealing that an inmate was recently beaten to death in a penitentiary institution of the Kostanay region.
Emergency in a Kostanay prison. Human rights activist Vadim Kuramshin claims that prison guards beat to death one of the inmates. The activist decided to seek justice in the capital and asked the Attorney General and the UN to look into the case. Kuramshin says that he was horrified to learn about the detention conditions and tortures in the penitentiary institutions of the Kostanay region. We still have violations in the area of prisoners' rights and civil liberties, but in addition, inmates are simply killed there. This happens while the so-called public monitoring committees remain silent and all relevant authorities are inactive. Kuramshin was not invited to the conference on the human rights. Nevertheless, harsh criticism was still expressed towards Kazakh authorities and the ombudsman. The head of the OSCE Center in Astana, Alexander Kilchevsky, said that Kazakhstan doesn't follow recommendations issued to international organizations, including the UN. Citizens who interact with the state administrative machine often feel resentment and distrust towards the authorities. This is very important. Kazakh ombudsman Askar Shakirov responded by saying that the country's human rights institutes proved their worth. Kazakhstan joined 60 international treaties for the protection of human rights and liberties. Shakirov admits that reports on the Human Rights Commissioner did help to make the facts of torture in Kazakh prisons more public. Without the help of authorities, all the efforts in the struggle for human rights are diminished. Our common goal is ensuring human rights. Thus, in addition to criticism and recriminations, we should realize that our actions should be coordinated based on the understanding that this is a common problem. In the end, conference participants reached an agreement that public control is needed to combat tortures and ensure human rights. The government was suggested to establish a public council for the rights of prisoners, which will report to the ombudsman. Representatives of Astana's OSCE Center hope that the upcoming summit in December will help to promote this goal.
A picket of DEO Avtobaza employees was held on Friday next to the building of the Almaty city administration. The protesters demanded the payment of wage arrears for 3 months. Currently, the people responsible for the sanitary condition of street and improvement of Almaty's road network refused to return to work until full repayment of debts.
20 employees of DEO Avtobaza demand to redeem their 3-month wage debts. On Friday, they gathered in the center of Almaty at the building of the district administration and claimed that the city owes money to their employers supposedly for the work completed in spring. We're told that the Almala district owes us for the work we did in May. I think we lost the tender, and since May we were just working in different districts, including the Awezov and Bostandyk. All in all, we are not being paid. The head of the district improvement department, Balgan Amanov, entered talks with the protesters. He assured that there are no debts and says that in spring the district administration transferred around $600,000 to the account of DEO Avtobaza. We've paid them $623,000 and they didn't participate in the follow-up tender, so now a different company is working for us. DEO Avtobaza is a service-providing company which used to be a subdivision of the state administration of public utilities during the Soviet times. Currently, it holds the same functions, but the law on the state purchases binds it to receive orders from the city administration by participating in tenders. The average salary there equals to $200. The leadership of the enterprise refused to comment on the demarche of its workers. We represent the information video portal Stan TV. Can you please direct us to someone who can talk to us? We were instructed not to talk to you. After the conversation with representatives of the district administration, the employees have regrouped and drafted an inquiry to the prosecution office, which promised to investigate the case in the nearest future.
The East Kazakhstan village of Chirimshanka is on the brink of survival. 360 employees of a local poultry factory are ready to launch a strike and stop production. People say that they are not paid, say, for about $30 per month. Instead, they are given the factory products at elevated prices. Currently, the enterprise is on the verge of bankruptcy with the property mortgaged, and the management blaming the employees and scaring off the potential investors.
300 employees of the Chirimshanka poultry factory are ready for a strike. This news made the regional authorities to personally learn the issues of the business process. The deputy head of the East Kazakhstan region, Grigory Pinchuk, and his team met with the factory's staff and said that the state will not leave the enterprise behind. Officials are even ready to mortgage the Uсть-Каменогорск airport to save the factory. I was here on Saturday, it was raining and I had to walk around the factory with rubber boots. Do I really need this? I'm an official, so could I have spent the day with my family? But no, I was here bringing in the investors. So do you think that the state is indifferent to your problem? The Chirimshanka poultry factory is a city-forming enterprise. Officials estimated that $2.5 million are needed to reanimate the production and cover the debts. So far, the factory's management failed to come up with the means. Employees believe their superiors do not put in enough of effort, while the factory director blames the staff in scaring off the investors. I'm the owner and I'm telling you, no one will give us any money. We had 4 potential buyers today. They walked around, saw your attitude and said they won't pay a penny for the enterprise. It was not me who bought it for this state. Pretty soon we won't be able to live here as the walls will cave in. The villagers live in extreme conditions for already 15 years. The factory never recovered after the collapse of the Soviet Union. Houses once on the state balance are now falling apart. Wages are paid with chickens, bread and sometimes coal, with bartering done at inflated prices. They give us almost nothing at the factory, chickens sometimes, but even those look sickly. We always have to fight to get something. The employees are in despair. They cannot get their money even through courts as the factory's property was mortgaged to the bank. The deputy governor spent more than an hour trying to persuade people not to start a strike and be patient. The employees agreed to delay their action for a month.